super excited to sit on this side of the table and dig into what I kind of put in the category of communication skills, right? Like, how do we become even better communicators so that we can be even better for our clients? And honestly, these are just human skills. So I was looking at these and like, this makes me a better parent and a better wife and all of those things. So I just feel like these are just like human skills.
Can finally get my kids to eat their vegetables if I can figure this one out.
If you can figure this one out. Really, this title is the best part of this. So you don't win arguments by being right. That's where we're going today. You have 15 strategies that we're going to run through on this. You don't win arguments by being right. Where did you come up with these 15 strategies, I guess, as far as around this concept?
I mean, yeah, a couple of different guys. I've spent the last few years really working on this communication thing because I'm going to be honest, this is not an area of innate strength for me. I'm a good bad arguer, right? So I think I'd make a decent attorney, and I think I'd make a good, I'm good in a fight, but I'm not always naturally the best at this principle.
Okay.
So part of my ongoing endeavor to grow and improve is learning, just gathering as much as I can on principles of how to be better in my communication style as I spend more and more of my time just leading human beings.
Yeah.
And less time trying to win sales, right?
Yep.
This is a gathering from several different folks over the years, but I just wanted to start by saying this is for me an exercise of growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these are not my natural default mechanisms in a contentious or high stakes conversation or debate.
So these are the 15 things, everything
That's
that you're
thinking
thinking about, like becoming and thinking about tweaking your thinking when you're in these situations.
Number 9, apply.
Yeah, they're coming to firing in your brain. Okay, so we're going to run through them, and I'd love to hear your insight on each of these.
Can I tee it up more?
Absolutely.
Just real quick? So, because I was thinking about this, what this is all about, it has to do with a misconception. And the misconception is that we think naturally that when we're in an argument, and maybe argument's the wrong word, because I always think back to Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. And one of his principles was you can never win an argument. Because the thesis is that if you're in an argument and you lose the argument, so don't get into the argument, because if you lose it, you lost. Mm-hmm. But if you win the argument, you're probably going to hurt the other person's feelings, and you're going to lose a friend or lose a relationship. So you lose either way.
Yes.
The principle is like, don't get into arguments. This is similar to that. Although the title is you don't win arguments by being right. You win arguments by making it safe for somebody else to be wrong. And so all of these principles or strategies are ways to diffuse identity. And so the leading idea here is that when we get into arguments, what happens is, and this is from like the 7 levers of influence by
in psychology,
Cialdini. One of those, I think it's the first one, is called consistency. And consistency is all about, once we make declarations of truth or whatever it might be, an affirmation, we have a very, very strong internal drive to need to remain consistent with what we've said or affirmed.
Yes.
You want to get people to donate money, you first get them to agree that they believe in a cause.
Yep.
And so consistency is a very, very powerful force, because once we've entered into a debate, it could be about anything. It could be about the flavor of ice cream. It could be about the inspection clause. It doesn't matter what it might be. Once people have started to enter into a debate, their identity becomes connected to their position. So what's actually going on here is I have made a position, and very naturally, my position is now a part of me.
Yeah.
You don't think of it this way, but this is what's actually going on.
Yeah.
You've been in an argument, not you because you're a 9, but normal people have been in arguments where halfway through they go, I think I'm actually wrong about this, but the problem is...
But now I'm like sticking to my guns because I have to.
And the reason for this is that once your position is connected to your identity, if it turns out your position is wrong, well, that means you're wrong. And if your position loses, then you're a loser. Mm. And so we have to come to terms with the fact that winning arguments, which is a terrible phrase, but winning contentious discussions, getting to the winning outcome that we need, is first and foremost not a function of facts. The facts are not the point. The point is that there's a human being with an identity crisis on the other side of a conversation. Yep. And what we have to do is create a situation where we lower the emotional and psychological stakes for them so that they can get to a place where they can release their position and embrace a better position. But if I'm throwing facts at you and you're connected from an identity perspective to your position, no matter what, I'm going to lose. And the more I dig into that, the more it's almost like the words are weapons.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's the framework. I think that's how we've got it laid out on the handout, which is really worth reading.
Definitely.
So we've made this available for everyone, but it's about first lowering defenses and emotional stakes so that someone can detach from their
eyes,
position.
Yeah, and open their eyes, see something different. Yeah, that's interesting. Safety, and the whole time the lowering the guard, like just getting to that place of comfort. So yeah,
you almost have to just put on a different set of lenses, and the argument has to be put aside, and you have to see through into the human situation that's going on. There's an entanglement, and the art form is about disentangling
those two things
so that they can safely, save face, still be a wonderful human being and proud of who they are, but release this position that they have found themselves entangled with.
Yep, good. Okay, so let's go through the 15, and this one you kind of mentioned in your tee off too. If you argue with facts, you've already lost, and I think I see our realtors do this a lot, so this is a good one.
Yeah, well, and a lot of these really speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But I'll say it again. When you're in a situation like what I just described, facts feel like weapons. So every fact you throw at me is just a stone being hurled at my head as I'm attached to this position, because each one of them are trying to cut me down. And so again, you don't win arguments. So starting with facts means what we're doing is we're hurling stuff at each other. And so that's not the starting place. Yeah. That's principle number one.
Yeah, principle number one. Number two, never correct first. Ask how they arrived at the idea.
Maybe I think of this as like push versus pull.
Okay.
So they're going to say things that you disagree with, and they may be saying things that are just blatantly wrong. But if I begin with a correction of what they said, it's a sort of beautiful exercise of this. I've seen it played out several times by psychological coaches. You take a person in a room and you give them no instruction. You say, hey, can I get a volunteer? You pull them to the front of the room and you say, okay, can you just stand in front of me? And then they take their hands like this and they go face to face and they go like this. And they say, give me your hands.
Push, yeah.
And then they start pushing. And with no instruction, always the person on the other side pushes back.
Absolutely, because they're not, yeah, absolutely.
Then they grab a different person and they say, hey, come on up. And they say, hey, stand here. And they stand next to them and they go, okay, you ready? And then they go, and they start walking. And every single time, the person next to them starts walking.
Oh, absolutely.
And so what we learn, I mean, there's a natural push. Yes. It's kind of like magnets.
Yep.
And so, never correct first, because what you're doing is you're just creating a counterpart, and you're creating a natural inclination for them to want to push back.
Yeah.
Asking how they arrived at the idea has the exact opposite effect. It opens up, so, hey, no, that's wrong. Versus, well, so how'd you arrive at that idea? No defenses. It allows me to have to go backslide a little bit. And I go, wait, I don't know where I came up with that idea. Or, you know what? I just saw that on TikTok. Or, you know what? I'm just actually married to that because I don't want to have to admit that I'm wrong. So it's a beautiful way to create a pull power towards where you're trying to go versus creating a pushback.
Yeah, and I thought of the habit that came to mind on that one for me was seek first to understand, right? Like that's asking more, being curious about what they're thinking. So yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or you're not.
Yeah.
And you want them to be curious about what they're thinking.
Yes, I understand that.
I mean, obviously what you're saying is better, but the framework for this is I'm assuming that I am right here. I mean, this sounds like some jackass approach, but there are situations where I'm arguing with my kid or whoever else. I'm pretty sure I'm right. So that is my framework for this. Sometimes you are right. And what you need to recognize is that's not going to
be, that's not the point.
You being right isn't the right starting point. The right starting point is this person's entangled with their position. How do I lower the identity crisis that they've got to get there? How do I do that? I ask how they arrived at the idea because it creates a force in them to have to reconsider and recognize that they may not actually have a good grounding for their position. It just opens that door.
Okay, good. So number 3, never say that's wrong. Say that's interesting.
I think it's a very similar principle.
Yeah, these are very connected.
That's wrong is absolutely a weapon, and it's offensive to human beings, even when they're not connected from an identity perspective to their position.
Absolutely, no one wants to hear that.
I do this occasionally. I catch myself every time now. I'm getting much, much better at that's wrong. Typically, I say it to Whitney in one of our leadership meetings. That's wrong. And I'm like, what an idiot. How does that help anything? That's interesting, on the other hand. The whole room goes like, Like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, what am I not seeing? Did I just say something that's actually stupid? And so it just puts a question mark in front of whatever they said rather than hurling an insult at them.
Yeah, and that's like such a small tweak. I was thinking of the words that we learned, don't say but, say and, right? Like there's just something it triggers in your brain differently when you say that, for sure.
That's wrong triggers.
Yes,
that's wrong. Interesting triggers, but a very different way.
In a different way, yeah. Okay, number 4, mirror their last 5 words and then just pause.
Yeah, we taught mirroring several years ago in our
psychology
class. Yeah, and people don't like mirroring because it feels too much like a tactic. Mirroring done organically is not that complicated. You just repeat the last 3 to 5 words that somebody said. You do it sometimes with an upward inclination, so it sounds like a question. And what it does is it shows that you heard. There's something very, very powerful about repeating their words because from their perspective, they're like, wait, the words got to you. And the fact that you can repeat them to me demonstrates that. But then it opens up room for more. So part of winning arguments is allowing people to self-realize. And every time I tell you why you're wrong, I'm closing the door for you to be able to move further forward. So mirroring the last 5 words and then pausing. 1 shows I heard, which lowers their amygdala. They don't need to defend. They don't need to push anymore. You clearly heard me.
You heard me.
The pause opens the door for them to continue. And we need them to continue because if we believe we're right and they're wrong, if we can lower the stakes and allow them to keep moving, eventually we believe they're going to land where we need them to land, which is going, oh, well, you know what? I'm not sure I actually believe that position anymore.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Number 5, this is very good follow through on the next that last one. Lower your voice when they escalate. Slow your pace when they speed up. This is one that I for sure need to say to myself. Yes.
Likewise. I mean, ultimately what we're saying here is that everything is about physiology. There is a physiological set of responses going inside you. You're attached to your position. You feel like I'm your adversary. We're fighting. And there's adrenaline, there's cortisol, there's stuff pumping. Yes. And it's like the DJ voice that we taught. Simply, as you escalate, I just say, hey, I speak slower, I speak a little lower. And that physiologically actually starts to have an impact on what's coursing through your veins. And so it's, again, a tactic, but it's true.
And
we
works.
Are engaging with each other at a metaphysical level in a room, at a quantum level. My energy and your energy are intertwined in the middle of this room. And I have the capacity to impact that. Now, when you get emotional and your voice goes up and I meet you,
it's just this ever stacking thing. It just doesn't go anywhere at that point.
It's not about the facts. It's about getting this person to a state, physiologically and psychologically, where they can release a position.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I have to tell myself that with my kids sometimes. All right, number 6, label their emotion and completely ignore their conclusions. That's great.
Well, so labeling, much like mirroring, we have a lot of data on labeling. And labeling is a technical term, and it simply means to give an emotion a name. And what we know is that when people have an emotion and we stick them under a CT scanner and we see their brain, we can see that emotion. We can see those neurons firing. And if you can label the emotion, simply say, man, it looks like this is really pissing you off. Or, man, it seems like that comment really got under your skin. Or it feels like this just annoys you. Every one of those, what that does is you can immediately see on the CT scan a lowering of whatever's firing, that amygdala response. And so what we're saying is, it's fruitful to label the emotions that are coming out in their argument because they feel validated and it lowers the emotion. The need to address the conclusions that they're making at any point during the argument, you don't need to. I don't need to go all the way. The real battle here is in getting to a different physiological state and psychological state so that we can unattach from the position. So when we address the conclusions all the way along, it's almost like one of the winning thoughts that I shared. You have the right to have no opinion. And so along the course of an argument, I don't need to address the fact that you have a conclusion that I fundamentally disagree with. Because every time I keep disagreeing with your conclusion, I'm just driving you back into that state.
That's not helping.
So label the emotion, and you have permission to completely ignore along the way their conclusion because it's going to get us to a place where oftentimes they're the ones that can self-identify that their conclusion isn't something they're actually that married to anymore or that certain of.
And again, just lowering that physiological response.
But every time I fight your conclusion, I'm giving you a cause to have to anchor it back down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, processing that as you were saying that. Number 7, repeat their point better than they can. I like this one.
Well, yeah, there's a really helpful exercise called steel manning. It's just, if you steel man somebody's argument, it just means, what we typically do is we straw man somebody's argument. So somebody has an argument, they're a different political party than us, and we go, yeah, well, they're just saying that if we do this, then that'll solve the world's problems. Well, that's a straw man of their argument. It's not real. You built it up so you can knock it down.
Okay.
Steel manning is giving the best possible version of their story.
Yeah.
You don't agree with them, but if you can articulate their position in the most fruitful and gracious way possible.
Yeah.
That's a very, very helpful exercise in debate and argument. This is a version of that. If I can hear you and I can repeat it back to you, even better than how you've said it. One, again, you feel validated and gratified.
Heard, yes.
You feel 100% heard. 2, I'm giving you an opportunity to hear what you said succinctly and clearly. And it really is opening up a door. Instead of me straw manning and you're like, no, you're not hearing me. I'm giving you a absolute valid version of what you're saying. And oftentimes that's enough for them to go, wait, no, well, okay, hold on. Like, yes, that's what I was saying, but I don't mean it this way. And again, we're opening up. It's like a ...
Yeah.
Is that an ellipsis?
Ellipses. I love ellipses.
All of this is creating little ellipses for the thought to continue to play itself out. If we believe that their thought is wrong, then I believe that if I can create space for it, they will, if they're halfway smart, self-realize that.
Yeah. No, I was imagining like my push is stopping. Like I don't feel like the need to push, and I'm instantly in my head going, oh, is that how? Like I'm processing instead. Like it's coming 100%. Back in there versus the push against.
Is that what I said? Yeah, it is. Is that what I meant
and believe? And
and does that actually resonate? Does that make sense? And you're no longer someone I have to push against because it sounds like with grace, you're articulating my point. Yeah. I no longer need to make it.
Yes.
And absolutely. Now I can actually observe it.
Yeah, good. Number 8, let them finish talking, then wait 2 seconds longer than feels normal. I am not good at this.
I'm terrible.
I'm not good at this.
I'm the king of just interrupting people's sentences.
Me too.
So, okay. I don't know. Do I need to describe this? I think of this like letting the air out of a balloon. I don't know. It's... they need to finish their thought again so that they can feel validated. The extra pause is really just like a exclamation mark on I'm here to hear you. And again, I think I would just take this all the way back to the physiology and the mental framework of if I can fully be heard, then I can step further into the actual analysis of my argument. But so long as you're throwing facts at me, so long as we're going back and forth, I'm going to continue to feel unheard. And that's why I feel like I need to keep making my point. So, I think this is very similar to several others that we just covered. Good golly, how do I get better at this?
I literally have to tell them, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Just give them a moment. Number 9, ask questions this you already know the answer to.
Yeah, it's a similar principle. Maybe I would think of this as like show, don't tell. So like, yeah, there's parts of this discussion that I can tell you a fact about, but if I already know the answer to that thing, asking the question. So wait, what time did you guys go to bed last night, boys? I know what time they went to bed because
we know the answer.
I've got what's it called?
Life 360.
Life 360.
You know,
I know where they were at. But asking the question, rather than putting them in a defensive posture, allows them to have to state it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think I love the way it's written. It allows them to arrive at the insight themselves. Which feels empowering rather than humiliating. Self-discovering truth sticks longer than imposed truth.
Yeah, so. I read the word guide. Like you're trying, like the whole, like you're guiding them somewhere, like, right? Is the guide. So it's like, don't come into like hot and strong and this is what I'm telling you.
And again, it's a bad place to start by saying, I'm starting with the assumption that I'm right.
Yeah.
But many times in these contentious debates, we do believe that our position is better. And if you're truly confident about that, stop fighting for the position.
Yes.
Be a guide that allows the space, ellipsis, and emotional de-escalation for them to arrive at the place that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. These are so good. Number 10, reframe their positions as self-protection.
Yeah, maybe the best way to explain this is a phrase I use all the time when arguing with other brokers who are just doing their job.
Yep.
And they're fighting for their agent. And so, the simple phrase is, hey, I get it. Like, you're just trying to do right by your agent.
Yeah.
What I'm really saying is you're totally wrong. And I disagree with everything you're saying. And your facts are wrong. And here's the actual facts. But if I say any of that, they have to fight. But when I say, look, I get it. You're just trying to protect your family, protect your agent, protect your situation. I get why you would believe that. You believing that is important, because if you didn't believe that, it would like harm your situation. Or reframe their position as self-protection. It's getting underneath why they might need to have that position without insulting them. Hey, I get it. You're just doing what you need to do right by your client or right by your agent.
Exactly.
Perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely. I coach that thinking a lot, actually, when I'm helping people think through how to talk to the other agent on the other side.
I call it a disposition of grace. So like,
I get it.
It's almost the never attribute to malice that which could be attributed to ignorance or error. It's similar to that. It's what's the most gracious way that I can explain without saying you're wrong. I can explain why you would maybe need to have a position.
Yes.
It's almost pointing to the motives of their position.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good.
Be careful.
Yeah. That can come across wrong.
You're just a bad human being, and you have a terrible company, and you're just protecting bad agents. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not do that. Number 11, never defend yourself under pressure.
Yeah, I think the phrase there is very important.
Yes.
A defensiveness confirms the conflict frame. So
100%.
We have entered into a debate. We're having an argument. And the framing, I can't wait to get into framing at some point, because it's another very, very important part of communication. But everything is filtered in our brains through the frame through which we're viewing the situation. And obviously, because we're in an argument, the frame is conflict. And conflict has certain rules, because the way pushing works is different than the way walking together works. And so when you defend under pressure, you're probably going to have that high voice. You're probably going to have some push. You're probably going to go to facts. So when under pressure, don't defend, just do everything else we've just talked about. Because all you're doing is you're reinforcing that when they come at you, it's a little matrixy, right? If you're coming at me and I come at you, but if I just allow it to come straight by me and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's an interesting point. It disarms your sense that what the framing of this is a fight.
Yeah, I think this one is like the one that speaks to you, like you lower your defense budget so that you can deploy all of these other strategies potentially.
Say that again.
I feel like this one's more about you than the other person, a little bit reminding you to lower your defense budget so that you can. I think you can mentally deploy
can be viewed that way because you're the other person in this debate.
You have to tell yourself all these things.
Well, that's why I'm saying these are challenging because all of them are tactics to deploy against another person. But I think first and foremost, you are deploying everyone who's against yourself too, so that you don't have a conflict frame and you're recognizing that it isn't about the facts and you're trying to get someone to see a position.
What are we actually trying to do? Yeah. Number 12, change context before content.
I mean, maybe that's the overarching principle that we're talking about here, is what we're saying here is the real way to win isn't on the content, the facts, but the context of how we feel this conversation is going. What is this conversation? And so I just wrote feelings first, facts second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. 13 and 14, I think, go really well together. 13, ask for clarification at the peak of emotion.
Yeah, so when someone's at that, and because you can tell by their hands, you can tell by their sweat, you can tell by their voice, when that tone gets to its highest point, there's doors there. Again, this gets into like a little bit of psychological trickery, but I would just call it opening the door for the truth to sneak out. Mm-hmm. So when somebody's at their highest point of tension, saying, well, hold on, what do you mean by that? It is one, gracious. I'm allowing them to explain their position better. But at the peak of their emotion is when what spills out is, well, actually, mostly I'm just pissed off that you guys have been disrespecting us this whole time. You're like, oh, okay, hold on. That's new. I hadn't heard that information before. Yeah. So they're almost weakest at their point of highest tension. And if at that hot point of highest tension, I come back with my tension, previous principles, you're just reinforcing the fight. But if I'm like, wait, I didn't understand that exactly. So what I heard you just say is mirror and say, could you just clarify that? What do you mean by that? Mm-hmm. when they're at their peak, you're going to see sometimes the stuff's going to slide out.
Yeah, no, like I love that this says, this is my favorite, like reveal what's really driving the argument. That's a really good way to define that.
And it's almost always something more.
Else.
Yeah.
Yep. Number 14, label their fear and never their flaws.
Yeah, it's similar to a previous one, but I think this is about shame. This is about every time I say something in a way that makes it sound like I'm pointing out either, I might not be saying you're dumb, but if I say, but hold on, you're wrong about that, I'm also saying you're dumb, right?
Yeah.
And we're all just humans.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're going to hear it that way. Yeah.
So labeling their fear, it's very similar to the previous labeling principle. Like I'll just read it. Naming fear creates relief, and fear acknowledged is fear reduced. That's the labeling principle.
Yep.
But if I name their flaws, it's creating shame, and shame is only going to escalate the defensiveness. So I think it's very similar to a previous principle. Use labeling intentionally and carefully. Fear is just another emotion. And what's their fear? I mean, you got to be looking for it, but part of their fear is looking stupid. Part of their fear is, well, I'm supposed to be defending my client.
Yeah.
Part of their fear is, well, does this mean I'm a stupid, terrible agent because I couldn't win this negotiation?
Or my client.
That frankly, I didn't have a valid position on.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, the reason for their first right of refusal, the reason for their price offering. It doesn't matter what it is. Their real fear is what's probably driving this. It's led to a bunch of other emotions.
Yes.
I'm labeling those emotions. And if I can find a way to label, wait, I see what you're actually, especially after number 13.
That's exactly why I drove those together. Yeah.
I find the real root of what's going on here that's driving you emotionally towards identity with this position. And I go, oh no, like, yeah, I get it. Like, I get that you're it might feel like if we don't get this price for your client, they might not think that you've done a great job.
Great job for them. Yeah.
I mean, that's a dangerous example, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, totally. No, that's why that reveal, we have to get underneath, right? Which is what 13 is all about, and revealing what their argument's really about, and then label that fear.
I mean, the principle there is just by all means, avoid shame. Yes. Shame in an argument is going to be the poison pill that's going to ruin everything.
Everything. Absolutely. And finally, number 15, end with a question they have to sit with.
Yeah, I mean, let them reflect. You're not going to win most arguments in the argument. So if we can deploy all 14 of these principles.
Which, takes a lot of work.
A good question, which is just, at the end of the day, I think what we need to figure out is why, fill in the blank.
Yep.
Leaving them with something that they can continue to think through is just a great way for them. If you've opened the doors correctly, you've given them the space, you've given them permission, you've given them the emotional freedom,
of safety and trust. Yep.
And now it's like, okay, well, what you probably need to go figure out is this, and it's just permission to continue.
Final thought.
Well, the final thought is what
I
wrote on this piece of paper. I think that's what you want me to share.
Yeah, because it's best, honestly.
Well, it turns out that a couple of times in my life, while deploying all sorts of strategies to be right, it turns out that I was the one that was wrong. So sometimes the reason you don't win arguments isn't because you didn't deploy 15 amazing strategies, but it's because actually you were the one with the position that was wrong in the beginning. Now, I know that might surprise some of you. But yes, I'm wrong. You're wrong. We're all wrong sometimes. And so, I mean, I think the goal here is you never win arguments. There's no need to fight with people. Sometimes we are right, especially with our kids. But getting confrontational isn't the way to get what we want to get to. And if you can just understand the identity part of this, if we can allow it to be safe for people, we can help them get to where we all want to get together.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it helps, guys. I mean, these are all things that we have to work on internally, processing. Repeat the ones in your head as you're in these. But I love the context of this. You don't win arguments by being right. Sometimes you're not right, but when you are, how can we help the other guide to where we want to go?
I like to think I'm right quite a bit.
It's good.